Question for you. Is it better to be rich and generous or poor and generous? Hey philosophers, I'm Jonas, and this is Philosophy Friday, the place where we ask questions just to make people wonder, why are they asking this? Be sure to stick around to hear the question for next week so you can be part of the conversation and part of the community. Today's question. Is it better to be rich and generous or poor and generous? There's no question that most people believe that it is important to help others in need. In every major religion, there is an emphasis on generosity. In Islam, there's a saying, save yourself from hellfire even by giving half a date fruit in charity. Now, if you give a fig or half a date fruit, why not subscribe? That quote about dates reminds me of the story from Christianity where Jesus remarks on the paltry donation of a poor widow to the temple, saying that she gave more than the rich people who were there bragging about how much they had given. Hindus teach the stirring story of King Rantideva, who fasted for 48 days during a famine, then gave a third of his first meal each to a Brahmin priest, someone from a lower caste, and an outcast, after which he only had water. But then, when the king saw a thirsty man, he gave that away as well. Perhaps the story I find most shocking, and it'll definitely stick with me, is a Buddhist story where in a past life, the Buddha sees a starving mother tigress and, wanting to prevent any further suffering from the tigress, offers himself as food so she and her cubs won't starve. Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet. I think it's evident from these stories that we humans find generosity to be important, and perhaps even beautiful. But I think if we're honest, we'll realize that generosity itself is unlikely to fix systemic societal issues alone. Every donation is valuable, but donations don't address the root causes of inequality. To truly thrive, we need structures that give everyone a fair shot. So personally, I feel that generosity is just the beginning, not the solution. Further, I feel it's appalling that there are some individuals, even some large churches, that could single-handedly end poverty, or at least put a really big dent in it, but fail to do so. If you disagree with me, perhaps you feel that greed is a virtue, as is preached by capitalism, I welcome your comments. Perhaps we'll have a future Philosophy Friday question on that topic. Okay, so we value generosity, but only one of these stories compare wealth and generosity, so I feel we haven't really addressed whether it is better to be rich and generous or poor and generous. Let's see what our community has to say. Crazy to Sew tells a story on Threads about a wealthy couple who were generous even when they were very poor in college and after they become wealthy. She says, that really made an impression on me because I have to work hard to be generous. I'm glad that you found people that you can look up to as examples, and maybe this couple illustrate that how much you have shouldn't dictate how generous you are. Jenna R. says, I think rich and generous because then you have more to give, so the capacity to do good is higher, because with money, really what you're doing is making things happen. Russ R. says, I don't think it matters whether you're rich or poor, because being generous is kind of a personality trait that you are. If you're rich, you're able to help a lot more, but if you're poor, you're still as valuable in helping the people that you're able to help. I think we can see that with the hurricane victims now. A lot of them are poor, and yet they're fully into helping others around them. So I think ultimately, being generous is what's important, having compassion for your fellow human beings. Josh R. says, I kind of agree with both Jenna and Russ. I think being generous is a frame of mind, and you can be generous in many ways, like lending time to help someone or knowledge to teach someone. But it's better to be rich and generous because what being rich really means is how much resources you have at your disposal. If you are someone who goes out of the way to help others a lot, it's a good thing regardless of whether you're rich or poor. But having a lot more resources would allow someone to have a bigger impact or longer lasting effect. Thank you. I absolutely agree that generosity doesn't just mean money, and it really is inspiring when we see people helping people in need. Really, any sort of giving is important. What are my thoughts? Well, with a question like this, I think you can look at it in two different ways. Someone who is wealthy could provide objectively more in terms of money. Their generous monetary contributions will go further and help more individuals. But on the other hand, when you give more in proportion to what you own, I think it changes something inside you. So perhaps the question should be, do we value helping more individuals or the change you find in a generous giver? To me, there's no clear answer which is better. I think that all generosity is important and both types of generosity have their merits. But what do you think? Comment below with your answers. While you're there, you should answer next week's question in the pinned comment. Should penalties for broken crimes be proportional to your means? For example, if Jeff Bezos gets caught speeding, should he have to pay more than you or I would for a speeding ticket? Make sure you explain your reason for your answer. It would mean the world to me if you would join our community and our conversation. It's people like you who make these videos possible, because without the comments from the community, we don't have a video. Again, the next week's question is, should wealthier people have to pay more in fines for breaking the law than poorer people? And why? Thanks for watching and keep questioning. I wanted to take a moment and show you some of the awesome swag we have for Philosophy Friday. There are polo shirts like this one, hoodies, mugs, notebooks, and t-shirts like this one. I absolutely love this t-shirt of Socrates on a half pipe. You can see all the awesome swag that Philosophy Friday has available. Just click on the link to the store at philosophyfriday.com. Also, to celebrate the launch of Philosophy Friday, we're giving out free memberships where you can get discounts and free swag. So you can get yourself the same t-shirt for free if you win. To enter, subscribe and fill out the form. There's a link in the description. And comment on videos. You'll be entering into a drawing to win one of 15 different Philosophy Friday memberships worth up to $300. The earlier you enter, the more chances you have to win. Winners will be announced on the channel and via email. See the rules and the form to fill out in the description.